The music, the costumes, the hair. There's only one Abba. And after decades of going their own way, the Swedish supergroup is back.
They were the squeaky-clean pop superstars who conquered the world with feel-good anthems and glittering costumes. But buried deep in ABBA's archives lies a secret that could have destroyed their wholesome image forever. One of their most beloved hits originally contained a hidden verse so controversial, so politically charged, that their own manager ordered it destroyed. What did those forbidden lyrics reveal about the real ABBA? ABBA represented everything pure about pop music in the mid-1970s. Björn Ulvaeus, Benny Andersson, Agnetha Fältskog, and Annie Frid Lyngstad had crafted the perfect formula. Infectious melodies, harmonious vocals, and lyrics that spoke of love, heartbreak, and joy without ever venturing into controversial territory. Their manager, Stig Andersson, had built an empire around their squeaky clean image. By 1976, ABBA was at the height of their powers. Dancing Queen was climbing charts worldwide, and their album Arrival was being hailed as a masterpiece of pop perfection. Record labels across the globe were throwing money at them, and their wholesome image made them acceptable to audiences from conservative America to communist Eastern Europe. But behind the glittering facade, the band members were grappling with real-world issues that their public personas never acknowledged. Sweden was experiencing political upheaval, social tensions were rising across Europe, and the members themselves were dealing with personal struggles that went far deeper than the romantic dramas portrayed in their songs. The controversy began during what should have been a routine recording session in late 1976. The band was working on material for their upcoming album when Björn arrived at Polar Studios with lyrics that were unlike anything ABBA had ever recorded. Instead of their typical themes of love and relationships, these verses dealt with political corruption, social inequality, and the dark underbelly of fame itself. The song in question was Money, 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 destined to become one of their biggest hits. But the original version contained an additional verse that painted a scathing picture of political leaders who enriched themselves while their citizens suffered. The lyrics referenced specific scandals that were making headlines across Europe, including corruption in Sweden's own government. Studio engineer Michael Tretow later recalled the tension in the room when Björn first performed the controversial verse. "You could feel the air change," he remembered. Agnetha and Frida exchanged worried glances. Even Benny, who usually supported Björn's creative decisions, looked uncomfortable. The lyrics were reportedly so explicit in their political commentary that they named prominent political figures and described specific acts of corruption. One line allegedly referenced a Swedish minister's involvement in illegal arms deals, while another took aim at the hypocrisy of leaders who preached equality while living in luxury. When Stig Andersson heard the controversial verse, he immediately understood the potential catastrophe it represented. ABBA's success was built on their universal appeal. They were beloved by audiences across the political spectrum precisely because they avoided taking sides on contentious issues. Stig went ballistic, recalled sound engineer Leif Maces, who was present during the heated discussion that followed. He started shouting about how this could destroy everything they'd built. He said it would get them banned from radio stations, boycotted by retailers, and could even put them in legal jeopardy. The argument that followed was reportedly one of the most intense conflicts in ABBA's history. Björn defended his lyrics as honest artistic expression, arguing that they had a responsibility to address the world's problems. Benny initially supported him, believing that the band needed to evolve beyond simple pop songs. But the women in the group were divided. Agnetha, always the most private member, worried about the personal consequences of political controversy. Annie Frid, who had experienced poverty in her childhood, was reportedly more sympathetic to the verse's social commentary, but feared it would overshadow their music. The debate raged for hours, with Andersson threatening to walk away from managing the group if they proceeded with the controversial material. He pointed out that ABBA's upcoming tour included dates in countries with authoritarian governments, countries that wouldn't hesitate to ban the group if they perceived the lyrics as subversive. In the end, commercial considerations won out over artistic expression. The controversial verse was completely removed from the song, and all recordings of it were ordered destroyed. Anderson went further, implementing new rules about lyrical content that would prevent similar incidents in the future. But the censorship didn't end there. Rumors began circulating in the Swedish music press about ABBA's lost political song, leading to a coordinated effort to suppress the story. Music journalists were reportedly pressured to drop their investigations, and several who persisted found themselves cut off from access to the band. The cover-up was so thorough that even today, no complete recording of the original verse is known to exist. The only evidence comes from the testimony of studio personnel and a few fragmentary notes that survived the purge of the band's archives. This incident marked a turning point in ABBA's creative process. From that moment forward, all lyrics were subject to strict review by Anderson and the record label. The spontaneous creativity that had produced some of their best work was replaced by a more calculated approach designed to avoid controversy at all costs. The suppression of the controversial verse had profound effects on ABBA's subsequent work. Critics have noted that their later albums, while commercially successful, lacked the emotional depth and authenticity of their earlier material. The band members themselves seemed to recognize this change. In interviews from the late 1970s, they appeared increasingly disconnected from their own music. Björn, in particular, never quite recovered from having his political expression censored. He began writing more abstract, metaphorical lyrics that hinted at deeper meanings without explicitly stating them. Some fans believe that songs like The Winner Takes It All and SOS contain hidden political messages that served as Björn's way of rebelling against the constraints imposed on him. The incident also contributed to the growing tensions within the group that would eventually lead to their breakup. The trust between the creative and business sides of ABBA was permanently damaged, and the artists began to feel like products rather than musicians. Perhaps most significantly, the controversy demonstrated the immense power that managers and record labels wielded over artistic expression during the peak years of the music industry. ABBA's experience became a cautionary tale for other artists who might consider using their platforms for political commentary. Decades after ABBA's breakup, music historians and fans continue searching for evidence of the lost verse. Several researchers have claimed to have found fragments of the original lyrics in private collections, but none have been authenticated. The surviving band members have remained mostly silent on the subject, adding to the mystery. In 2018, a Swedish documentary filmmaker claimed to have uncovered audio recordings that contained portions of the controversial verse. But legal challenges from ABBA's representatives prevented the material from being broadcast. This incident reignited interest in the story and demonstrated that the band's management continues to guard the secret closely. Some music critics argue that the lost verse represents one of the greatest examples of artistic censorship in popular music history. They contend that ABBA's willingness to tackle serious social issues could have changed the entire trajectory of pop music, inspiring other artists to use their platforms for meaningful commentary rather than empty entertainment. Today, as ABBA enjoys a renaissance with new generations of fans, the story of their lost political voice serves as a reminder of the complex relationship between art and commerce. While their released catalog continues to bring joy to millions, we can only wonder what impact their suppressed message might have had on the world. The controversy over money, money, money ultimately reveals a different side of ABBA, not just as creators of perfect pop songs, but as artists who grappled with the same social and political issues that concerned their generation. Their decision to prioritize commercial success over artistic expression was understandable, but it came at the cost of their authenticity. The lost verse remains one of music's greatest mysteries, a tantalizing glimpse of what might have been if ABBA had chosen courage over caution. While we may never hear those forbidden lyrics, their story continues to resonate as a powerful reminder that even the brightest stars can hide the darkest secrets. Thanks for watching. Click here to check another video, and make sure to subscribe to our channel.